Hello, my fellow humans. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. So with that, there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message happens to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So we are back for another pick a card reading. We are looking into how people see you right now. And I felt really called to using the Archetypal Astrology Oracle by Jonathan Waller. It's been a while since I brought this deck out, but this is such a great deck to dig into how you're being viewed, but also like kind of characteristics that you might be exerting right now or showing. So with that being said, I don't really have any announcements as of right now, but let's go ahead and hop to our prayer and get this reading underway. So I pray that you are having a beautiful day, morning, evening, night, or whatever time it may be where you're at. Someone's cleaning. I just got this very overwhelming scent of bleach, which is so funny because this does not smell like bleach. This is tropical scented incense, but I have this overwhelming smell of bleach right now in my nose. So someone must be cleaning while they're watching. So that could be a sign for someone that this is a reading for you today. All right, let's get into it. My beloved source, this prayer is for any and everyone who comes onto this reading, whether it's for a moment's time or for the entire time. You know, this journey, it's a journey. And some of us are really easing into it, and others of us are struggling. And I ask today that you help remind us that no matter what chapter we're on in our journey, and no matter what it is that we're facing right now, that it truly is a part of it. It's all a part of it. We didn't do anything wrong. We're not weird for being somewhere where others are or aren't. That this is just truly where we're at, and that where we're at is enough. And as we are in this moment is enough. And that today we don't need to do anything to become enough. And sometimes we struggle with that because we feel tied to our value, tied to our money, our activities, our doing. And our value has been tied to the fact that we're an infinite being of love, that you love us no matter what. No matter who we are, no matter what choices we make, no matter what we go through, we're loved, supported, held, valued, understood. And even if you're not a physical being in this world, that you are always ensuring that we are looked after, even if we don't feel like it in any one moment. And so today I ask that you help open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts to receiving those messages of confirmation that you're walking this journey with us, that you're holding our hands, sometimes carrying us, that we aren't alone. And above all, please give us that confirmation that we are so loved, something that touches our hearts deeply, that reminds us of you, of home, and of our deeper truth. As these words are spoken onto this reading and upon this tribe today, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Hase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right, let me get this set up over here. Oh, you gotta stretch. Come on, me friend. Stick in. Okay, good. We got it today. I moved the holder really far away. Okay. So let's move this out of the way. And we'll give this a chouffle. How do people see you right now? What astrology archetype oracle will help us better understand this message today, source? 1 second. goodness, excuse me. Okay. What astrology oracle archetype will help us better understand this message? How do people see you right now? How do people see you right now? Oh, okay, thank you, Source. How do people see you right now? Thank you. How do people see you right now? All right, pile one. How do people see you right now? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand this message today for pile number one? Thank you. All right, Source. Pile number two. How do people see you right now? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand? Thank you. This message today. All right. Pile number three. How do people see you right now? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand this message today? Right away. Thank you. Okay, so before we check out the bottom of the deck, I'm just going to put this here. I'm getting a channeled message. And the channel message is that it's important for some of you to be around water right now. That there's been a little bit of a hectic energy around you, and I feel like some people are seeing you as chaotic or always on the go, but there's a need to cleanse and reconnect with your heart space right now, and I feel like somebody needs to hear that. So maybe going for a walk by a river, a lake, on the beach, get your feet wet if you can, if it's not too cold where you're at, or even doing a foot bath will help, right? Like put some Epsom salts and some essential oils, especially lavender and neroli, or if you don't have neroli, orange would be great, okay? And geranium is coming through. So doing a foot bath with those essential oils, you can do a mixture of them or just one at a time, it doesn't matter, but there's a need to cleanse or to detox through the feet for someone here, or for many of you, because of this. I feel like you're receiving so much stimulus through the third eye right now that you may feel blocked, or you may feel like you're not hearing messages the way that you need to. And I know this doesn't really have to go in line with the topic at hand, but it is a message that's coming through really, really strongly right now. So we're going to say that. Okay, so let's take a look at what the collective energy is here. Saturn, Uranus, wow. There's a huge change, a huge shift that's happening right now. And how people currently see you is facing some incredible difficulties, but all at the same time, you're still maintaining a very aloof attitude where you're not really, so you're not like really connected or tied to the outcome. You're just doing your best to make it through. You're just doing your best to show up and to let yourself be guided in the murky waters. Look, and isn't it funny that this is a lighthouse, right? So we're talking about going into the water. This lighthouse is completely surrounded by water right now, and so such a strong message coming in. It needed to be heard. But I feel like many of you are actually moving through the dark night of the soul. You're coming out. There's light at the end of the tunnel is the energy that's here. And I know we're looking into how people view you right now. But Source has a message for the collective right now that it's keep going, hold on, because you're about to go through a glow up where you're going to be guiding others home. You're going to be guiding other people to freedom. You're going to be the guiding light for others in their difficult time. And it's because you have experienced it yourself. And there are a lot of people right now who are looking up to you. And this doesn't have to be worldwide, but it could be. It just depends on the type of energy that you're trying to give out. But I feel like what Source is saying here is that so many people look up to the love that you bring. They look up to the light that you bring. And you might find that people are really trying to connect with you everywhere you go. Like people are finding creative and sometimes not so creative ways to just talk to you because you truly are a light in the dark. Right? You are the lighthouse right here. You're represented by the lighthouse. You remind them of home. And that's what that is, that love that resides inside of us. That's what reminds everybody of home. It's when we become the light in the dark, when we let our light shine through us, but when we let our love and our heart lead us, we're giving permission to everyone else to reconnect with that space that exists within, that maybe we have lost, or that maybe we have thrown a blanket over and said, I don't want to face that part of myself right now because it's so uncomfortable. But there's this really strong message here where people see you as someone they can look up to, someone that is a guide, someone that is a teacher, someone that is a master, someone that is helping them when no one else would, because you're on a lone island. You're in solitude out here doing your thing. You're doing something that no one else is doing. And people are flocking to you right now, and you might not see this all the time, or you might get a sense of it every once in a while, or you might have some really synchronistic, coincidental conversations with people, and you're like, wow, that felt like a sign from Source, but I'm not really sure what it was. And Source is using you as the light, as the lighthouse here, as the guide, because you're so tapped into this spiritual realm. You are so connected to the messages that Source is giving. And people, you don't even have to say like, what are you, spiritual, religious, or anything like that. Like, none of that matters, because you are the embodiment of that home space that we are all trying to find our way back to, but we don't have to find it because it's already within us. And that's the energy that I'm getting. But it's because also, as a collective, you have come out. Many of you could have had a lot of Pisces placements in your chart, or you could have had a lot of Saturn placements in your chart. And so this past year and a half to this past, even, we're talking about 30 years is coming in, and I'm not sure why. It could be because of Uranus, but there's this energy that's coming in where, you know, you have this outer planet that has affected you in some way, shape, or form, that's eliciting change, but that's also eliciting very non-conformist, unconventional growth in such a powerful way. And that's been your journey as of now. You've been receiving these downloads to step into a different version of yourself, but it's coming back to the truth of who you are. And because of that truth shining so bright in a world filled with darkness, after you've emerged from your dark night of the soul, how people view you now is as someone they can trust, someone they can look up to, someone that they can model their lives after and hope to achieve similar results within their own life, whether that is peace, happiness, freedom, whatever that is that they're looking for, abundance, right? Knowledge, wisdom, it's all of these things, and maybe none of these things, but it's that same place of coming into a very high vibrational love. And you are the embodiment of the unconditional love that Source gives to us all. And people feel that. They feel that. They feel the warmth of your heart. They feel the light of your soul. They feel the truth that you speak upon the world. Even if it doesn't seem like a big deal, it is a big deal. And that's something that you always need to remember moving forward. What a powerful message. So let's see what this card says from the book. I'm not going to read the whole of this card because they're so long, the definitions. This is a great, if just really quickly, if you are studying astrology, or if you want to study astrology, this is a great deck to start with, because this book is so detailed. It's very in-depth. So this is a good one to start with, but I'm not going to be reading the whole thing because they're very detailed for sure. All right, Saturn Uranus. Okay, so Saturn Uranus says, some great lifting force of light will come to balance fearful night. That's a quote from David Crosby with Saturn conjunct Uranus. Wow, what a powerful message. Then there's a little poem here. Just around the corner, your freedom is there, waiting if you could only get there. All of this endless toil would be behind you, falling away like rocky headland battered by the turmoil of water. claimed by time, an unrelenting ocean. And I kept getting that energy of water before I even knew what was on the bottom of the deck. The message was so powerful coming in. Okay. It says, here's where the principle of hard work, containment, limitation, and consequences meet that of surprise, breakthroughs, liberation, and ingenuity. This combination can have a choppy, back and forth kind of nature that cycles through stages of stability, constraint, building pressures and tensions, leading to explosive breakthroughs or breakouts. Saturn-Uranus presides over tensions between new or old paradigms and the difference in viewpoints between generations, yet they can also be expressed in a more fully blended manner as revolutionary tactics employed in the name of conservation, as in ecological activism, or as enduring structures designed to provide liberty, as in laws guaranteeing marriage rights to all people, so all inclusivity. The gifts here, opposed as they may seem, Saturn and Uranus need one another, so people need you, right? That's what we were feeling. Without a constant influx of novelty and progressive energy, Saturn becomes rigid and inflexible, and the systems and structures that it underpins becomes ossified and corrupt. And without commitment to hard labor, a solid ethical grounding, Uranian revolutionary activity can stir up a lot of rebellious energy and trouble without really generating any new solutions or following through on its idealistic promises. 1 second. Oh my goodness, excuse me. One more? Nope. Thank you, whoever said bless you. Thank you, I heard it. Bringing these archetypes into accord with one another is about embedded Saturn and Uranus deeply within one another. Your urge to conserve and protect needs at its heart to be motivated by the Promethean project of improving life. Meanwhile, your urge to revolutionize and overthrow old structures needs to be firmly grounded upon an unshakable awareness of what is worth holding on to. It is easy to think about all of the above mostly in collective terms, as the language that is most apt to describing it seems to evoke a sense of the political. But it is equally important and probably more fruitful to apply the same logic within examining the relationship between your inner Saturn and Uranus. With Saturn-Uranus, you might have the feeling that it is part of your purpose to work out specific karmic issues or to break the cycle of intergenerational trauma. This pair is about seeing the present moment as a pivot point between past and future. One of its gifts is the ability to honor your ancestors and predecessors with gratitude and respect, while also grappling with their imperfections, seeing them fairly and honestly as steps in an evolutionary process that is still ongoing. With Saturn-Uranus, respecting and honoring who and what has come before is not the same thing as calling for a return to outdated traditions or paradigms. It means appreciating the people and events of the past in their own context for the role that they played in moving the needle towards progress, and taking inspiration from them in order to fuel and guide your own forward motion. So that's the thing, like, right, these energies are supportive for making innovative changes to structures and routines in your life. So you're helping others, right, to make those progressive changes while also questioning old, outdated paradigms, rigid structures, rigid belief patterns, just by being you. So I can think of a couple here that are coming through, like helping people to question religion, to question love, to question what inclusivity means, right? Like, what does that mean for everybody? Questioning work ideas, right? Questioning the government, questioning how we take care of Mother Earth. These are all huge issues that are coming through right now. And that's not limited to just those either. You're just in this space right now where you're helping people to question these conservative, rigid belief systems that have been in place for a long time that have prevented growth. And that's why you're being seen as this lighthouse, this guide, this master, this guru, someone that is teaching us valuable information and helping us to move beyond what has kept us small and in a space of poverty. What an incredibly powerful energy coming through from the collective. So let's go ahead and move forward. Phew! Got some sneezes of confirmation in there for sure. All right, let me get this set up here. right, are we in frame? Okay, one more. Okay, whoever said bless you, thank you, because it stopped it. All right, so we've got for pile 1, we've got this dice with the second house on it. Or we have this piece of amethyst for you to choose from. Okay, pile number 2, we have this dice with the 4th house on it. Or we have this piece of fool's gold or pyrite for you to choose from. Pile 3, we have this dice with Neptune on it. Or we have this fossilized shell for you to choose from. So we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 2nd house on it, or perhaps you felt called to this piece of amethyst, or maybe you felt drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on how do people see you right now. We are all here sharing this human experience. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you that are new, thanks for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored and grateful to be here sharing it with you today. If the message happens to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. So with that, let's hop to it and find out, how do people view you right now, pile 1? Source, what would you like to share with us today? How do people view you right now, pile 1? All right, so we've got the 6th house, we've got the sun, and we've got Capricorn energy. So you could have Leo in the 6th house, Capricorn in the 6th house, Virgo, sun, moon, rising, or Venus. Virgo in the 9th house is coming through. Pisces Venus is coming through. Leo Venus, Aries rising, and an Aries in the 12th house is coming through. Okay, so if I don't stop, we're going to be at it all day. So we're going to leave it there. How do people view you right now? They see you as someone really, really healthy. They see you as someone that's taking your routines and your schedule incredibly serious, and you are making strides on your path. It's become a part of who you are. So there's no separating you from your routines, and it's not about identifying with them as much as it is waking up and making these choices each and every day, which is what routine becomes, right? That's what discipline is. It's making a choice every day for your better alignment, for your greatest good. And sometimes we get lost along the way and we think that discipline needs to be a bad thing, or that discipline is some form of punishment. But you've shown people that discipline can actually improve your life, improve your life, and help you to align on your path of purpose. And you have changed the way you look out in the outer realm. So like how you present yourself in the outer realm has changed, but also your appearance has changed. You've gone through some sort of transformation, and you have literally shapeshifted. People don't necessarily recognize you anymore. They don't recognize the way that you talk. They don't recognize the way that you talk or walk. They don't recognize the way that you dress, the way that you're acting, constantly being an embodiment of your routines, because they've become a part of who you are. You're incredibly disciplined. You're incredibly consistent. You're incredibly hardworking. You've created a stable foundation. You've built something on a system that's been known to create success, even though that system is an old foundational system. There's no need to break a system that seems to be working, or that allows us to use it as a stepping stone to move forward. And I feel like that's exactly what people see when they look at you. So like if this is you getting healthy or working out, like some of you are really trying to get muscle gains, or you're trying to lean up and have definition in your arms and in your stomach. It's being seen now. Maybe you were wondering, like, is this ever going to change for me? Are people ever going to notice how far I've come? Like, is this something that I'm even going to notice? And you're starting to notice it, and everybody else is really starting to notice it as well. You've come a long way, which is why you've shapeshifted so much. And I feel like others of you, this is how much experience you've learned about your job, about your company, about your business. This could be about your career. You've put a lot of work and effort into gaining wisdom and information that's going to help you move forward. And it's paying off. People are seeing that now, and they see that you're not somebody to be trifled with. Like, you really do have your head on straight. You really do have, for lack of a better quote here, all your ducks in a row, right? Like, you're getting things done, and it feels like you have your whole life figured out, or you have your life figured out to where you can knowingly make strides and take steps forward. And even if you don't feel that way, I do feel like many of you in pile one are feeling this sense of consistency is helping you to stay on track. And so that's why I feel like many of you might have Virgo highly aspect in your chart as well, or you could have Taurus or Capricorn highly aspect in your chart. Definitely ground energy, like earth energy coming in here. Very grounded, very reliable, and someone that is gonna have success. So people see you as creating success in your life, whether that's status, fame and fortune, financial success, financial stability. These are things that people view you as right now, and it's just a part of who you are. There's no separating the two, because it has to do with the fact that you're showing up day by day for these routines. So this could be a promotion that you're working towards as well. This could be a raise that you're working towards, a different department that you've been wanting to get involved in for some time. You are seen as going to get what you want. All right. So we're going to be asking the Tarot Marseille today. How do people view you right now? Pile one. Source, what would you like to share with us? How do people view you right now? Okay, how do people view you right now? They feel like you're happy doing what you're doing. That only someone that could be happy could keep up the discipline that you're keeping up. How do people view you right now, pile one? How do people view you right now? Oh, thank you. Right now, pile one. Bottom of the deck. The Eight of Cups. Many of you very family oriented. It's all about the family. It's all about creating a safe space within your family. Creating success for your family. Others of you, you are healing your family. You're healing energy, intergenerational wounds, generational curses. You're letting them go. With these two, the Empress in reverse and the Knight of Swords, there's this energy that's coming through where it's you're fighting your own battles. Your battles are your battles, and there's no changing that. Trying to move the camera a little bit here. Right? You're showing up to do that. You're showing up to put forth your effort to healing, to letting go of those impulsive actions that or reactions that had been tied to the emotional ego. And so how people view you right now is that there's no duping you. There's no getting you to be under anyone else's control, even if that was family or if that was friends or if that was a boss, someone you were close to. You're leaving these old patterns behind. So I do feel like there's this energy that's around you or that had been around you for some time where maybe you put yourself on the back burner for other people or for other situations in your life. It felt like there were things that were far more important than taking care of you. And that's not who you are anymore. And that's how people are viewing you. Like, you stand up for yourself no matter what. You make sure that you're taken care of no matter what. You put everyone else on hold no matter what. No matter how much you care about them, no matter how much you love them. If you're not right, you're going to put them on hold. And this also brings with it a sense of respect from other people. They see that you're not someone who's going to disrespect yourself because the world becomes chaotic. You're always going to respect yourself and stand up for yourself no matter what. How people view you right now is it's hard for them to get involved with you. Whether that is, again, family coming back in. This could be romantic connections. This could be friendships. This could be just people who want to be a part of your life. And also, pile one, if you haven't, you can check out the collective message that's timestamped down in the description box below. If you feel called to, there might be additional messages there for you. But I feel like right now people view you as being up on a pedestal. Not you put yourself there, but they've put you there. And that you're unattainable and you're out of their reach. And so they're watching, they're waiting with bated breath right now. What is pile one going to do? What are they going to accomplish? What are they going to create? What is their life going to look like in 6 months to a year? What's going to change for them since they've changed so much? What's going to happen with them moving forward? There are people who are watching and waiting, not for you to fail, but they're curious. There's just this curiosity that's around you right now. Like, I can't say that it's necessarily people that are cheering you on, but it's also not people who are saying they wish you would fail, even though there might be some people who are both sides of that, right? But there's like a vast majority of people who are just waiting with bated breath to see what happens next with you. And no matter what, they're just kind of like neutral to it, right? It's just like, if you succeed, they're neutral. If you fail, they're neutral. It's just, you've made such an impact by saving yourself. And it's like people are wanting to see, like, is this something that if I do in my own life, is this something that will benefit me in the long run? Is this something that will help me out in the long run? Like, how will this affect me? And so when they see you, also, they feel like you're so far out of reach that there's just, like, they're in their own minds about it, right? Like, they're thinking, oh, I could never ask pile one out because they're too good for me, or I could never approach pile one and be their friend because they've got so many other things going on. And that may be true, but it might also not be true. It's just that you're focused on yourself right now, and that focus is very clear cut and concise, and they're not trying to step on any toes right now because you've made it very clear that you respect yourself above everything else. And so there's this element of solitude that's coming with your reading as well, pile one, where it's like you're happy and peaceful in your place of solitude. It's not isolation right now. This is literally about focusing on what's next for yourself. So there's a new chapter that's turning over in your life right now, and that's the thing that you're focused on the most. And because of that, all your time, your energy, and effort is going to that next chapter. So whether that's learning a new skill, getting a new job, opening up a business, creating some form of art, right? Putting yourself out there, whatever it is, there's this energy behind you where it's like you've already gained so much momentum on your day-to-day routines that you're adding something new that you've always wanted to do, or have always thought you would cherish if you added this into your life. And even though life may get hectic at times, you're really making a decision to put yourself first and to put this idea, this dream, this want, this desire first. And I feel like the main thing here is that family's watching you as well, because I do feel like a lot of family has said things about you, pile one. Some good, some bad. I do feel like there's definitely a lot of gossip around what it is that you're doing, especially within the family dynamic with the Eight of Cups here. And that's why they're holding and they're waiting with bated breath. There's some that, again, there's that energy where there's some that are like, oh, they're not going to make it. But I feel like the ones that are saying that you're not going to make it are people who are closest to you. So they're basing that off of an old version of who you were. And then there are other people in your family that are like really excited to see you succeed. Well, overall, I feel like most people, how they view you right now is someone who's decisive, determined, confident, courageous, committed, consistent, and always moving towards the goal. You're not letting past situations determine or decipher how you show up in this here moment. You're making a decision, and in that process you're also overcoming limiting thoughts and beliefs and patterns that may have kept you from realizing your dreams or manifesting your dreams in the past. Like, you're seeing these patterns very clearly now, and it's all because of making this decision and this choice for yourself. This was not something that was easy for you, for sure. There was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of resistance when it came to this. Okay, so you're going to get two of these cards. We've got Cancer energy coming out here. Nurture, comfort, and protection. So you're protecting yourself. You're nurturing yourself. You're offering yourself comfort, right? The shell up here, it's like you're the hermit crab. You're the one that's in hermit mode, protecting yourself. But when you do come out, it's like people are in awe at what it is that you've turned into. Right? And you come out when it's necessary, not just because everybody expects you to. It's like when it's necessary for your soul to receive messages or to receive some sort of growth from our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day interactions with people. We receive so much from outside, and we can use that as stepping stones in our journey. And I feel like that's exactly what you're doing. You're very much focused on healing and self-care right now, and that's how people view you. On the bottom of the deck, opposition. Yeah, so we have an imbalance, a point of tension, and a power struggle. You're healing from these times when maybe you were oppressed by family, or maybe you were dealing with narcissists, or you were dealing with very manipulative, controlling, overbearing, overwhelming people. You're healing from these times. You realize the only way to do that is to say enough is enough, and to use that two-letter word that so many people struggle with, the big N-O. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to let you control me anymore. No, I'm setting a boundary. We're not going to go down this road any longer. And because of that, now how people view you is with respect that they might not have had for you before, or again, it just might not have been on their minds to respect you in this way, but now they can't help but recognize that powerful energy that's coming from you any longer. It's just something that's so prevalent. It's something that's so much at the forefront right now. How do people view you right now, pile number one? Yeah. So we have Mars in Gemini with excitement. They're waiting, they're listening, they're watching. There's so many people that are watching. There's some people who are incredibly excited. There's some people who are cheering you on. I feel like most people are just wondering what's next. What are they going to do? Let's get one more of these. Okay, this one. Thank you, Source. On the bottom of the deck, we have Mercury. Did I say Mercury in Gemini? That's Mercury in Gemini. Not Mars. I think I accidentally said Mars, but we're going to go with it. So here we have Mercury in Aquarius, originality. You've stepped away from the societal constructs, the norms, the daily life that everybody has agreed to this is just the way things are. You asked why. I see things as they are not, and I ask why not. And that's the type of energy that you're giving out. It's like you see things as they are not, and you're wondering, why not? Why isn't it free? Why aren't we allowed to create our lives the way that we want? Why aren't we allowed to be strong and powerful? And why aren't we allowed to have a voice? Like, these are questions that you may have asked along the way. Or if it's not these questions, it's questions similar to these where you're just asking, why are people just trusting a system without questioning it first? You're the one that questioned the system, and because you questioned the system, you were given an answer. And this is how people view you, as someone who's brave enough to stop being one and the same as everyone else, one with the norm, one with the flow of how society has been built. You're creating your own future. You're creating your own life. You're creating your own change. And it's inspiring to others. How do people view you right now, pile one? Innocence with childhood. Healing your inner child. With Cancer here, that makes a whole lot of sense. Right? You're coming back to this really free, playful, open-hearted energy. You're having a good time now. You enjoy what it is that you're doing. You have a lot more energy, a lot more vitality that is surrounding you. And you're celebrating so much more. Maybe you dance. Maybe you're someone who that's where your creative endeavors are going. You're opening a dance studio, or you're creating some sort of dance routine or choreography. Like, that's something that you're looking into. It doesn't have to be, but that's a really specific message coming in here. But I do feel like movement is very important for you. Like, you're working out, you're taking care of your body, you're growing, you're changing through these actions, right? So you could be working out really hard, or that's something that you want. Again, creating tone. And this card, it talks about in the book, like, we only see her dancing and we think she's here doing it on her own, like no one's watching. But in the book, it talks about how we don't see everybody else out here outside of the card that is with her, watching and admiring her as she's moving along through this energy of dance. And so I do feel like there's a lot of people who are admiring you. There's a lot of people who are watching you. There are a lot of people, again, with bated breath just to see what it is that you're going to do. What kind of performance, if you will, are you going to put on? But it's not a performance. It's literally shedding the skin and shedding the discrepancies and shedding the heaviness of the past and letting yourself be free. So what kind of freedom are you going to show us today, pile one? That's what it feels like. All right, let's see what else comes through here. How do people view you right now, pile one? Yeah. Guilt flipped over here. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. There's people here who are really guilty for the way that they treated you. And this isn't to say like what they did was okay or anything like that. I feel like you've moved on. You had to release it. You had to let it go. You had to forgive it. You had to choose yourself, right? But I do feel like this is also showing that there are people in your past who maybe guilt tripped you or made you feel like you had to put them first because they felt like they were all important. But now they're not getting that access to you any longer because you're no longer letting that guilt be that deciding factor for you, right? You've learned discernment. You recognize like their guilt is theirs to carry alone. And if they're trying to guilt trip you, you walk away and let them carry that on their own. So however that affects them is how that affects them, but it's not going to affect you like that anymore because it was never your emotion in the first place. Yeah, you've grown. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. So you've grown beyond this. right? You've grown beyond the, oh, what's right for someone else. You realize that doesn't matter. If it feels right for you to make people feel bad about themselves, then so be it, but I don't have to play this game with you anymore. And that's where you're coming from. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, yeah, we have surrender. You've opened up to the truth of your journey. And I feel like a lot of people, how they view you as someone who's walking the path that they were always meant to walk, but they didn't even know that this path existed until you opened yourself up to it. The minute you open yourself up to it, it's like, oh, okay, I can understand now. I understand why this path exists. I can understand now why this fits so well for pile 1. Ascendant, take things at face value. Yeah, you have this gift of discernment as well. It's the other thing, like, people realize they cannot manipulate you anymore. They cannot make you feel bad. They cannot smooth talk you anymore the way that they did. And so how people view you right now is someone with a very strong will, strength of character, and resolve to stay true to yourself. Let's get one of these. Or 2. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, Epona. That's not an Inye. Epona, we have earth magic. So that's what I was saying, like, you could be an earth sign or have earth highly aspect in your chart, very grounded, very regal, very mystical as well, very connected to source, capable of building stability in your life. And this is how people view you currently. I just feel like you're in this space where it's like everybody wants to have access to you, right? Like this beautiful horse back here, like everybody wants this stallion, right? But only someone with special energy will have access to the stallion, because the stallion's not going to let anybody into their life, just anybody, right? They need someone that's going to meet them on their level, that's going to look them in the eye, that's going to feel the earth the way they feel the earth, that's going to feel the freedom of the run the way that they feel the freedom of the run. And not everybody is brave enough to ride a wild stallion, especially bareback. As you see, it has no saddle on. So you're like, not to compare you to an animal, but it's like you're like a wild stallion in the sense of spirit. And not everybody is willing to step up to that level of wild abandon that you have. But they also appreciate it greatly because there's not that many people who step into that wild abandon. So they're watching to see, what does that mean, right? Capricorn energy, yeah. So Capricorn again, ambition, realism, and methodical steps. Step by step, inch by inch, it becomes a cinch. You're creating something that no one thought was possible. And for those people who never had that connection to you before, they're like hoping and praying that it is possible, because people want to be able to use steps that you've created or to mirror themselves after you to step into a space of peace and happiness and alignment like what you're doing right now. Okay. Then we also have the sun in Scorpio with endurance. So people see you as someone who is perseverant. You overcome the challenges, right? Especially with that opposition card here on the bottom of the astrological deck. Like, you have endurance. You have the stamina to overcome. You are magic. Do you believe in magic? Right? You're manifesting your dreams. And that's why I'm saying, like, people are noticing that now and they're seeing that now. And it's like the ball is rolling. Where is that ball going to stop? Is it ever going to stop? And is it ever going to get rolling in a way that just devours the world, basically, right? Because your dreams are coming true. And that's why people are waiting. They're waiting to see. Yeah, Jupiter, go big or go home. You bet 100%. You took the risk to bet 100% of yourself on this journey. And that's a huge risk. With a huge risk like that comes a huge reward. And that's how people see you right now. Like, you risk so much. You deserve the reward. And some people might not feel that way, but I do feel like there's so many people now who realize, like, you risk so much. You gave up so much to make this your reality that you deserve that huge reward at the end. Yeah, raw, share your gift. Yeah, some of you might very well resonate with the collective message from the beginning if you feel called to watching that. So you're sharing this gift. You're seen as a guiding light on your journey for others. They're waiting to see what you create in your own life, and they want to be able to replicate that with their own journey, to follow in your footsteps. It's not to take yours, it's to see you as a teacher for themselves. Kali Ma, wow, some very hectic, necessary, overwhelming, and incredible spiritual transformation. You are not the same person you once were. People recognize that you are so connected to Source. They see that you are so powerful. They see that you've changed so much. You've walked through the fire. You've died egoically 1,000,000 times and you still come back stronger, right? It's this spiritual death that you've gone through so that you could go through the spiritual rebirth. And it's been such a journey. And I feel like for many, it's been a pleasure to watch. For others, they've been shocked. For others, even still, they themselves have been transformed by you and your journey. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read a little bit of this from the book and see what we have here. So on the bottom, we have Mercury. What a powerful energy to come through. Mercury. We had Mercury come out with both of on the bottom of the deck in this astrological card. That's the Sun Radiance deck, I believe. It's the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, this deck here. And with the endurance card here, it's like you endure to share. So you could be a teacher, you could be sharing your wisdom, you could have Gemini or Virgo highly aspect in your chart as well. But let's see what this says. By and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. It says, is what you think I think of you the same as what you think I think? And if I try to say what's so straightforward in my head and the words come stumbling into view, framnicht, broken, how will... Oh, I see. Okay, I see how they did that. Okay, fragmented, they broke up the word. Broken, right? Fragmented and broken, they broke up both the words. It says, how will either of us really know what, if anything, happened, except by assembling a map from the scraps and hoping? So what people had once thought of you, they realized they had the entire wrong picture. And so now how they view you is much closer to the truth of who you are than ever has been before. The gifts here is the benefit of working with the Mercury archetype have often to do with rationality and expression. Mercury, when paired with other archetypes, will help you to articulate them linguistically, numerically, or in any other way involving set signs and symbols that systemize and categorize your experience. Mercury literally helps you to come to terms with events and feelings by finding the correct words for something or by expressing it in any detailed and precise way. You may find that you are more able to reflect on and accept what is occurring in the moment. Though it is wise not to navigate your life in an overly detached manner, it is often helpful to analyze the complex challenges that you face with Mercury's arena of cognitive abstraction. Mercury is not an entirely unemotional force. No archetype is, but it certainly does lend itself to processing emotional material in the form of abstract ideas, where they are less charged and perhaps a little easier to handle. With Mercury, there's always another perspective from which to see. Because Mercury wants to get under the hood of life and understand how the whole thing fits together, perhaps its most fundamental and wondrous gifts are curiosity and fascination. So a lot of people see you with eyes of curiosity and fascination and wonderment. The aspects involving Mercury in the natal chart describe the natural orientation and focus of your curiosity, and it helps you to find the fine silvery thread of intrigue and fascination. Why do I hear that song? Again, fascination. I think I want to say it's a big, gigantic song. If you listen to dubstep, it's a dubstep song. I think that's the name of it. It's Fascination. Total fascination. After that, all you have to do is just keep pulling the thread, letting it leads you to an ever deepening absorption of in the world of your own ideas. Yeah, you've made it your own, and that's how people view you right now. Is you've made this journey your own. You've come into the comfort of being who you are in this physical body. You're an inspiration, and a lot of people, it's not necessarily cheering you on or wishing you ill. They're just in awe right now. They're in awe at how much you've transformed. And there's the question that's kind of rolling around in people's minds right now: if pile 1 can do it, can I do it too? And ultimately, that's not a bad place to be at. That's actually a beautiful place to be at, because it means you're coming much more into your authentic self. And your authentic self is vibrating out into the world with such a powerful light and a powerful draw that people want to ride the ride. They want to know what it means. Is there truly magic in the world? Is there truly this amazing transformation that I can go through to create abundance in my life? Such a beautiful reading. What a powerful energy coming through today. So this is what I see here for you today, pile 1. If you feel like this is your reading, leave the fire emoji down below and say, I've walked through the spiritual flames of transformation and I emerge renewed and abundant. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message. And until next time, pile number 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 4th house on it, or perhaps you felt called to this piece of pyrite or fool's gold, or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on how do people view you right now. We are all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so that being said, there may be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message happens to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored and grateful to be here sharing it with you. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. I got some water on the table. Just ate some lunch, so yeah, let's get into it and find out, how do people view you right now, pile number 2. How do people view you right now? So what would you like to share with us? All right, so we've got the 6th house, heavy contender today. We've got Pisces energy and we've got Mars. You're incredibly active. You have a lot of energy. Also, you're surrounded by a lot of spiritual energy, and you could be psychic or have some psychic abilities, one of the clairs. You could be very intuitive, highly tapped in. You know things that are going to happen before they happen. You're able to call certain situations out, and people are always like, how did you know that? And it's because you're very tapped in spiritually. You're also seen as very mystic, right? Like very much a mystic, very mystical, very etherical, and people view you as someone that's very free-spirited. And you might have been called a modern-day hippie. That's coming in as well, but that you have so much energy. Like you're always up and about and doing things, or you have a lot of energy to pour into the things that you love to do. So maybe you, with the 6th house, you could work out a lot, or just whatever your work is, you always have energy, you're always upbeat, you're always got a smile on your face, you're always ready to do the best that you can. You put 100% forth every day, even if today 100% isn't the same as yesterday's 100%, or today's 100% isn't the same as tomorrow's 100%. You're always putting forth your best foot, and you are guided by your heart, and you're guided by your intuition, and your people view you as someone who is capable of giving very deep insights, and that you are helping people to heal very deep wounds, like wounds from addiction, wounds from past guilt, wounds from past blame, wounds of people holding on to resentment and fear and anything kind of along those lines, like sorrow. You could be a psychic medium. That's coming through, especially the Pisces energy here. I also feel like something that people view you as is easy to talk to about their grief. So you could be a grief counselor, you could be a guidance counselor, you could be a counselor of some sorts, or therapist or psychologist along those lines. But I feel like people are able to share their stories, the things that they've never been able to share with others, or things that they struggle to share and to talk about, seem to come falling out of their mouth when they're around you, and they view you as someone who is non-judgmental and who is active in your presence with them. So you're actively listening, you're actively observing what's happening, you're very empathic, you can feel what they're feeling, but you also bring a sense of comfort, relief, and clarity to what they have felt for maybe a short time or a long time, has felt like the unknown, has felt like something that they've not been able to move forward from. And it's not that you're taking their burden on for them, you're just a guiding hand. You reach out, you say you're not alone, you're an aid for them. And people really appreciate that. It's your hope in a place where hope has been lost. And that's how they view you. They're people who are deeply, deeply indebted and deeply, deeply grateful that they've met you, pile 2, because they feel like you have changed their lives in a way that no one else could, or that no one else even dared try to touch with a 10-foot, let alone a 20-foot pole. They're just like, we're not going down that, or they didn't think that what they had experienced, the grief that they were feeling, the sorrow, the hurt, the pain that they were feeling wasn't that big of a deal. But somehow you listen in such a way that they feel heard, they feel understood, they feel seen, they feel loved, they feel valued. And it's not necessarily anything that you're doing. It's just you have this very comforting energy around you. And that's why people share their stories with you. I feel like you could probably fill up multiple books with the stories that people have told you. But you're also not someone who's going around and telling everybody else's business. I feel like you're a secret keeper, and that exudes from your aura. Like, people can trust you right away, and they do. They find themselves trusting you, even if trust is something they struggle with. They can't help but immediately trust you. They can't help but immediately feel like you're a safe space for them. And so people view you as somebody that is a healer, and that you've helped them heal from many, many wounds. You've helped them heal from many, many situations. And you do it in a very upbeat, active, even a progressive way. I feel like many of you are like, I'm just being me, right? Like, I'm just doing anything that to people, or to these people that are sharing with me, I'm just being the person that I would want them to be to me. And without realizing it, you're piercing the veil every time you show up for them like that. Because it gives source an end to step in. It gives your ancestors an end to step in. It gives your guides an end to step in and to guide you in an incredibly profound way, right? And for you, it's just natural. It's just normal. Like you may have given advice to people, and it may sound super clever, super witty, or super profound. And you're like, man, I wish I could remember what I just said 20 seconds ago. But as soon as it leaves your mouth, it leaves your mind, because it wasn't you that was saying it. It was someone who stepped in to say it for them, which makes me feel like you could be a psychic medium. And many of you may be practicing that and practicing tapping into that. But I feel like there's a lot of you on here that when you become the channel, your consciousness is almost like for a second put to sleep. So it's like you become the absolute observer, where the moment is so present, you hold on to nothing. You remember nothing except that I was in this moment, but I don't know what was said. I don't know what I heard. I don't know what I passed on. But you remember how you left people, and you left them feeling really good, or you left them feeling loved, or you left them feeling warmth. And I feel like that's something, and I'm not saying this to scare any of you. I feel like most of you, if you've experienced this, you're not scared by it, but it is something that you've wondered, like, where do I go when this is happening? Even though you can see through your eyes and you hear your voice and it's happening as it's happening, but there's moments where you just kind of, you cease to exist, and whoever it is that's your guide or that is walking with you on the journey of your abilities and gifts is the one that steps forward for you. And that could be an ancestor, it could be someone who passed away, it could be a guide, it could be, any type of positive energy. Again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but there's a really positive, very strong spirit that walks beside you. And I feel like people get a glimpse of this spirit when those channelings come through, but they just liken it to being you, because it's just a part of you. And truthfully, it is a part of you. They are a part of you. They're a part of your journey. How do people view you? Pile number 2. Yeah, as someone who's experienced the hardships in life. So I feel like when people are sharing their story with you, you're able to share parts of your story with them as well. So like if you've gone through a lot of grief, or if you've suffered through life, like all of us have suffered in life, but I feel like you have had a huge amount of suffering. You've been through a lot, like more than most people, right? Like you're one of those ones that, like, when life gets you down, there's a real reason that's got you down, instead of people who are getting down because their phones broke, or who are upset because their day didn't go the way that they wanted to. Like people act like that's a real tragedy sometimes, and it's just life being life, right? And of course, our hardships that we experience are life being life too. But I feel like some of the hardships that you've gone through have been really harrowing. And when you share those situations with people, there's something about grief that's coming through very profoundly here. It's like you've experienced your fair share of grief, maybe even more so than a lot of people have. Not everybody knows what it's like to have experienced grief in that way. And when people share with you, you bring forth a sense of kinship. And this is how they view you, like, oh, this is someone who's also had their heart broken by grief, but has somehow walked away seemingly unscathed. And I want to be that too. I want to be able to pick myself back up and to put myself back together, and be able to look at my hardships as just a part of my life, instead of something that's dragging me down under and drowning me in this reality. Wow, very powerful energy here. So there's this interesting energy. Some of you could be tarot readers too, or you guys are using your gifts to open up businesses, or that's something that you want and you're waiting for a green light. First of all, this is the green light. But there are some people who view you as just have gotten into this side of spirituality just so that you can make money for it. And there's something so much more that this feels like a person or a very small group of people who are very judgmental that's coming through here. But they're thinking like, oh, you just want a quick and easy path to making a lot of money, like a basically get rich quick scheme. And for those of us that have worked to build our spiritual businesses, we have realized that there's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme, especially in the area of spirituality, because Source forces us to face our shallow thoughts, and Source faces us to, or requires us to face those parts of ourselves that identify with material gain. And we've learned how to sidestep into a version of ourselves that is more aligned with love and light. And so there's some people here who are viewing you as just doing it for the money, or just doing it because it's something that grants you certain freedoms. And that might be a benefit of what you do, but it's a part of who you are. And I feel like the people who feel this way about you, Pile 2, they have either not seen your gift in action because it was never yours to help heal them in that way, or they have seen your gift in action and they refuse to acknowledge it. Okay. And you know, again, we're not here to say like why they should or why they shouldn't acknowledge it, but I do feel like Source is saying like there is a little group here that doesn't want to see you succeed. They have some really jealous thoughts. There's also a question that's coming in like, why is it Pile 2? Like, why don't I have this gift when I've experienced more than Pile 2? But honestly, I feel like whoever this is, they do not realize the burden of your cross to carry. They think that your life is easy, that it's easy breezy lemon squeezy, that you have not had to deal with anything difficult in your life. And even if they have seen you go through difficulties, these are people who refuse to acknowledge that what you experienced was trauma. They're refusing to experience or to see it as what you experienced as something that even elicited some sense of grief, because they're feeling like what they've gone through in their life is worse than what anybody else has experienced. And those are people who are victims. They will always stay in the victim mindset, and they'll always feel like theirs is bigger, badder, worse, harder, more difficult, and that no one deserves anything except for them. But the truth is that this journey demands our presence. It demands our hard work. It demands us to look at parts of ourselves that we would all rather leave buried in the dust, but we can't. Because those parts of ourselves that are buried, that we've run away from, are the very parts of us that continue to leave us in our emotional ego. And you, Pile 2, are someone who helps people who are on the precipice of healing or who have an open heart. That is why you are the way that you are. There's something precious about the way that your heart entwines with other people's hearts who are ready to be embraced in that sometimes harsh love of Source, but nonetheless incredibly fulfilling and incredibly profound and incredibly supportive love. It's not what we want, but it is what we need, and you do that. And that's why I feel like they're saying here that there's this group that's just saying you're only in it for the money, but you're filling a purpose, and you're being called to this purpose, and you can't help but keep showing up for this purpose because it's who you are at your core. Okay. A lot of wands energy, a lot of action. Yeah. How do people view you? There's a lot of people here who view you as somebody who has given so much love to others. You open your heart and you don't discriminate who you love. You love everybody equally when you first meet them. And it's only through time and presence and energy and situations that you realize not everybody is deserving of the open doors of love that you have. And so people view you as somebody who has had a lot of failure and fear when it comes to inviting in not only romantic love, but just love from people in general. Like I said, it's interesting. Your mirror, it's almost like your soul is helping you mirror back to yourself what it is. It's like people who struggle to trust, people who struggle to open up, people who struggle to feel seen and heard. These are all the same things that you yourself struggle with, even to this day. These are things that, you know, the doubt comes in, like, am I really worthy of this? Like, so I feel like when you do hear of these people who don't want to see you succeed or feel like they've gone through more, there may even be a part of you who does believe that, who does believe maybe I don't deserve this gift, or maybe I'm not worthy of this gift because I haven't suffered like so-and-so, or I haven't gone through what so-and-so has gone through. But if you weighed the odds, you know, we're not in it for an eye, and we're not trying to go pound for pound here. That's not what life is. But I feel like if you were to deeply honor what it is that you yourself have experienced, Pile 2, you would recognize that you deserve it because you've survived things that most people wouldn't. And that includes many broken hearts. And I feel like that also includes having carried a ton of people on your shoulder that was never yours to carry, being there emotionally for people that was never yours to be there for, helping people work through their fears, their anxieties, their worries, their struggles, their suffering, when it was never your burden to carry, but yet you still showed up in a space of love and kindness and compassion, and you held so many of these people's hands through thick and thin, and they only gave you a sense of betrayal. They only went behind your back. They only stepped on you, treated you as if you were nothing. And there's so many people now that view you as your gifts, and your ability to use your intuition has come from a lifetime of struggle that helps you to see people as they are. You see what they've experienced. You see behind their masks. You hear and feel and can articulate the trauma and the emotions that they've been keeping locked away, the skeletons in the closet. You give word to those skeletons. You give a voice to those skeletons. And people view you as somebody that is a safe haven, even though you may yourself feel like there is no such thing as a safe haven except being wrapped in the arms of Source. And while that can be so frustrating, Pile 2, and I can absolutely understand that, at the same time, you found the one place that will never, ever, 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 ever falter you. The one place that will never, ever throw you away. And the one place that will stand beside you through thick and thin. And that is the arms of Source. And I know what you've experienced has been so overwhelming. But you are a gift to humanity because of those things that made you so much stronger. Because of those things that you still stood back up after they knocked you down time again. You still stood up. You still powered through. And the fact that you love from an open heart for people that you don't even know, like, it's just a testimony to your true character. Something that people may have wished that they had, but they lack, because they lack true empathy for people in the world, because so many people are so wrapped up in their own selfish gain. But not you, Pile 2. And whether you realize it or not, there are so many people here who have benefited from you and that love that you've given. You've saved lives that you don't know about. One second. You've helped heal broken hearts that you didn't know people had. You help people pick themselves up and move forward from things that they thought they would never recover from. And you've helped people face their fears, and they feel like, even if I never meet Pile 2 again, at least I know I'm not alone, and at least I know somebody like Pile 2 exists in the world, because without Pile 2, I might not be here anymore. I might not have the strength to carry on, or I might not be able to overcome this anymore. And I feel like sometimes this is a really hard journey for you because you don't feel like you belong. And maybe you've never met anybody that's on your level, Pile 2, but the amount of people that you've touched, their lives, their hearts, their souls is unfathomable. And with it has brought such blessings that you will never see, but that I guarantee will be returned to you in tenfold. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you've had to carry on by this alone. And I'm so sorry that you've had to deal with people who betrayed such a precious soul. I hope that you know that the vibration that you're sending out will affect the world for generations to come. Because without your love, we would collapse. My goodness. Let me take a drink of water. I love you so much, Pile 2. I hope that you love yourself. I pray that you see just how precious you are. Because you truly are. And whether you know it or not, there are a lot of people whose lives you've impacted in such a great way that you'll be forever the angel that they ran into. The angel that they will tell so many people that saved their lives. Whether you see that, hear that, or know about it or not. Everywhere you go, you leave an impression. It's a footprint. More like it's a heartprint on people's hearts. It's the stamp of source. It's the stamp of unconditional love. And it's a reminder. You give the reminder. So for those of you, I'm going to get back to the oracles here, but for those of you that this is resonating with, just leave a number 2 and a pink heart down below so that Pile 2, you know, you're not alone. You're not alone. Here's a big, big hug. Oh, I love you so much, Pile 2. I really, really, really do. Let's get some oracles out. Let's find out some more. How do people view you right now, Pile 2? And I feel like this is something that happens, not the hurt and the sorrow. I just feel like the more confident you are in your skin and the more clear you are about yourself, the higher vibration you're able to get into, and the higher your vibration, the more people you impact, whether that's through saying hello, a smile, have a beautiful day, or, you know, I'm hoping that your life is going good, whatever it is. And I feel like everywhere you go, like, just your smile is enough to change so many people in the world. So we have the North Node, destined to have. Yeah, this is something that you're meant to do. This is just a part of who you are. There's no denying this. And I feel like that's just it. Like, when people see you, no matter what you look like, no matter what your hair color is, your skin color, your eye color, no matter how tall you are, how short you are, how skinny, how chunky, how fluffy, none of that matters. When people see you, the impression that you leave on them is that you could have never been any other way than the loving energy that you showed up as. And I feel like you've judged yourself really harshly. I feel like sometimes you're very, very rough with yourself, and you maybe judged the body that you're in, or you judge the package that you come as, or you judge the cultural background that you have, or you judge the just a part of yourself. And I feel like without realizing it, that while that might come from past energies that have been really cruel and ruthless to you, also recognizing that those energies don't exist like they once did in your life, and that the people that you impact now, when they see you, they don't see your physical body. You help them see your soul. And they might not ever be able to tell someone what you looked like physically, but I can guarantee you they will be able to express just who you are energetically and as a soul, because that's just how much you've impacted them. Whoa, such a profound reading. How do people view you right now? Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at this with Mercury and Cancer, intuition. And this also says, like, the things you speak are driven by your intuition. It's driven by the divine connection. It's healing, it's loving, it's compassionate, it's home. You are a reminder of who we've forgotten we are. Look at that. Venus and Scorpio is secrets. You are connected to the unknown. You walk in the shadows, but having walked in the shadows, you've learned how to embrace the light, and you've learned what it is to be the embodiment of light. You've gained access to the secrets of life, and that's how people view you, as someone who you've learned so much about the unknown. And you're very vulnerable. Sometimes you expose yourself, and there might be times when the fear overtakes you, where you're like, oh my gosh, I exposed myself too much. I shared too much of myself. I gave away too much of myself. But that's also what makes people trust you and feel so comforted by you, is because you're standing in the middle of this field completely exposed. And that vulnerability is a part of your authenticity. And it's actually the most powerful gift that you've been given. And I feel like that's also very scary for you, because this may feel like a very new venture for you, is being so vulnerable and open with others. But they see you as vulnerable, and it makes you appear even more mysterious. It makes you appear even more intriguing and interesting. Yeah, and synergy, so much heart energy here. You're driven by your heart chakra. But also what I was saying earlier is that you leave the stamp of unconditional love on others' hearts. It's undeniable. With Green Man synergy, this card talks about how, without the bees, the flowers would cease to exist, which detrimental to the world. Everything works in synergy with one another. It's in tandem, right? Synergy and tandem. It's like they have to go together. Like, we breathe out carbon, the trees breathe in our carbon, turn it into oxygen, which we breathe in the oxygen. It's like, it's a synergistic relationship. And that's what I was saying, like, without you, I don't feel like you recognize or would see, just without your energy, without who you are in the world, that we would lose a vital piece that we need as a collective to grow, to expand, and to arise into a higher vibration. And even though it's a heavy burden and at times incredibly lonely, remember just how truly precious you are. You are a vital cog. You are a vital life. You are a vital necessity in the world that exists around us. Without you, there would be something that is so necessary to the world that would cease to exist. It's because you're here that exists. And I know that that's not always comforting, especially having gone through what you've gone through. But it's also to remind you just how truly precious you are. So much heart energy. Forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. I also feel like people view you as somebody who's forgiven situations that they themselves feel like they could never forgive. And they admire you for that. They admire your strength. They admire your tenacity. They admire your resolve. How do people view you right now? Pile 2. Frustration. So this goes back to what I was saying with that group of people. Like, they're trying to figure you out. They think that they've had you figured out for a long time. Like, they think it's all about material gain. It's all about money. It's all about what they themselves have been seeking in the physical world. But it just doesn't seem to match up. So there is a group of people here that are very frustrated with your energy, but let them be frustrated. Because they don't see that they're trying to fit something in where it doesn't even belong. Most people see you as somebody who's magic. You give people a sense of wonder. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You'll feel the heat, but always keep that hunger. You never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. Right? You leave everybody with this sense of wonder. You remind them that there's so many precious things to life. Things that weigh more than the sorrow and the grief and the frustrations that we've experienced. Even if those very same things have made you feel like you're drowning. You help others see that they're not the end of who they are. Whoa! Thank you, Source. Chiron, focus on healing. That's it. You're a healer. You're an energetic auric healer. You're a heart healer. And it's just naturally who you are. But that's how people view you. They view you as a healer. Like I said, they might not ever be able to tell somebody what you look like because they don't see you physically. They feel you. They feel you with their heart. It's not about what you physically look like in the world. It's never been about what you physically look like in the world. Pile 2, it's about how you've made people feel, and the feelings you leave people with are so profound, it overrides all the other senses. The other things don't exist. Like, I feel like most of you might resonate with being an earth angel or a starseed. But I feel like many people have actually said that you are an angel incarnate. And that's what they've said about you, Pile 2. They're like, Pile 2 is an angel. They were sent to me right when I needed them. And that's a very real thing that's happened with you, because that's Source guiding your journey. Look at this. I can't make this up. Mother Mary, emotional healing. You're a healer. And I feel like that's a thing, whether you want to be or not, it's just who you are. It's not even in your DNA. It's a part of your soul makeup. I don't know if cellular is a word. I don't think that it is, but it's a part of your soul makeup. There's no getting away from it. It's just who you are, whether you want to or not. It's just you're here and you're helping people heal on a very emotional place. Watch your words. This honestly is giving me that confirmation of what I was saying, like sometimes you are aware of what's going on, but you might not remember what you said. You're literally observing. You're observing what's coming out of your mouth. You're observing what's going on around you, but to recall what was actually said in that moment because you're not actually listening. The message was never for you. It was for whomever it was that was in front of you. That's whom the message was for. And that's why it feels like with this Oma, it's like watching your words. You're literally watching it like a movie, but through your eyes. The world is happening through your eyes, but sometimes you can't recall what it is that you've said because the message was not for you. It was for others. I mean, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't have made an impact on you, but that's just kind of how your gift works. That was for someone else. And your soul is like, that's cool. Like, I'm cool with checking out for a minute so that whoever needs to bring this message through can bring this message through me. We have the Sun in Leo with Fortune. And that's the other thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people view you as someone who's incredibly fortunate. Someone who has survived things that they couldn't survive. You have overcome obstacles that they couldn't overcome. You found forgiveness in ways that they could never have found forgiveness. But because of all of those things, you've carved a path out that others can follow. And because you're so trustworthy, they trust that path. More than if they can't see it with their eyes, it doesn't matter because you're at the helm. Cancer, yeah. Nurture, comfort, protection. You know, with Mother Mary here in Cancer coming out, it's like you're like the mother that no one had. And it doesn't matter your gender, what you identify with, non-binary, none of that matters. It's just you exude this motherly energy that everybody has always craved but has never gotten. You give space for that unconditional love to flourish. Happiness. I am aware that being happy means I'm on the right path. Again, this green energy coming through, driven by the heart. And with this happiness, I feel like many of you are good. Like you enjoy being in this energy. Like it's a part of you and you're okay with it being a part of you, but you're also someone who's very upbeat. You've got a lot going on. You're always smiling. I feel like you're always in a good mood, or you're always just helping to lift others up. You're a light for others. And if you haven't, you might resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning of the reading, which is timestamped down below in the description box. Only if you feel called to it. You can definitely check that out. There might be additional messages for you there. Trine. Things are magically aligning. And in the other deck, in this deck, the Trine card talks about angelic help, angelic assistance. And so I feel like with Trine coming out in this, from this deck, it's that reminder that there's a lot of people here who have likened you as an angel. You appeared in their lives just when they needed you. And that's why it didn't matter what you looked like. Have you ever seen that show? It's coming in so strong, but Touched by an Angel. Like that very same energy. You help people and you're drawn to certain places to help people. In fact, this came out in another reading. I think it was What's Amazing About You. That was a reading I posted earlier this week. And it came out in one of those readings too. It's just like there's this energy where people feel like you're drawn to certain places, or you're drawn to talk to certain people, or you're drawn to smile at certain people. And you're always helping people. You're always assisting them, even just by being you. And that's why it's like Source is helping things to align for you. And not just in that way, but in your entire life. Like all of this energy that you've been a vessel of giving out, it's all coming back to you tenfold. It's the promise. I keep hearing the promise. You're stepping into the promised land. Okay. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. Mercury and Neptune. So much that unknown type of energy here, but being able to express the spiritual realm, the unknown, to tap into the ethers. Right? Neptune energy is very unknown. Neptune's surrounded by that really etherical gas. Like what's going on behind that gas that we can't see, right? It's just, we don't know. But the message in the bottle, you're able to bring the messages from the spiritual realm. With 33, your angels are walking with you, the creative energy that you exude through your messages. So there's something here that you're creating that's incredibly spiritual as well. So let's see what this card says. I'm not going to read the whole thing because, as I said at the beginning of the reading, these cards are incredibly in-depth. This is such a great deck. If you ever want to study astrology, this is a good place to start, especially with the planet energies. It says their slumber in every human being facilitates by means of what he can acquire for himself knowledge of higher worlds. A quote by Rudolf Steiner. It says syllables plucked from ether, coalescent, condensate, droplets rolling on windows. The ephemerality of words and water, the way that can be spoken, is not the WhatsApp message in your pocket. Dissolve, evaporate. The message is the condensate. So the gifts of Mercury, Neptune watches over your attempts to understand the logic of creation and to map the contours of existence. Its gifts are received most fully by those who know how to love the ultimate unknowability of nature. Mercury is the archetype that tends to organize things, but Mercury-Neptune is not a puzzle to be solved. It is a crossroads where the alchemists and the mystics, didn't I say mystical at the beginning too? Gathered to whisper secret formulas and talk about their dreams, a shivering quicksilver mirror and a portal to the mysteries. It is a misty rain that hangs in the air around streetlights, suffusing quiet roads with the unmistakable yet utterly intangible quality of enigma. It's the structure of having no structure, the incalculable geometry of the infinite. It's those few strange words that are buzzing in your head upon awakening, the universe's joy at playing games of sleight of hand through your perception. It's a scrap of paper, a fragment of a note that, without the other pieces, comes to nothing. Yet you know you must not lose it. It's a message in a bottle, drifting in the empty space between the galaxies, written in a language that nobody can read. How does one work with such an energy? Obviously, it's good to try to put it to good use, but what is a good mystery for, except for languishing in? Well, that would be a good start. Surrendering the orderliness and logic of Mercury to the openness and immateriality of Neptune can help make room for the mind's more imaginative and playful nature to flourish. Mercury can appear to be obsessed with rationality, structure, and details, but the mind certainly is not limited to logic, and neither is Mercury archetype. The union between Mercury and Neptune creates in this way our unbounded mental space where many beautiful and sacred and precisely irrational facets of the mind can be explored. The mind needs the space to drift and dream, to float and fly, aimless, curious, and unrestricted through the atmosphere of your evaporated spirit. Sometimes all that is needed is a little peace in order to notice the quiet knowing that is already present, when the mind is freed from the burden of attempting to calculate the incalculable. Wow. What a beautiful energy you are, pile number 2. So you're helping people tap into the enigma that is the unknown. And that's a very beautiful thing. And that's how people see you right now. That's how they view you. They view you as a gift from the divine. And it doesn't matter what a person's background is. They all benefit from knowing you, and they all benefit from connecting with you at any one given moment. I love you so much, Pile 3. Thank you so much for allowing me to connect with you in this profound and beautiful way. This is what I see for you here today. If you feel like this is your reading, leave the little wellness heart, the heart with the band-aids wrapped around it, down below, and say, through the enigma of my spiritual connection, I am capable of healing the masses, reminding myself that I am a precious gift to this world. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly profound and powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Neptune on it, or perhaps you felt called to this fossilized shell, or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on how do people view you right now. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. So triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message does resonate with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And with that being said, your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored and grateful to be here sharing them with you. So with that, let's hop to it and find out, pile number 3. How do people view you right now? Pile number 3, how do people view you right now? All right, so we've got the 4th house. We have Libra energy, and we have the sun. I was hearing that song right now. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. So how do people see you? They see you as someone who's fair. They see you as someone who passes fair judgment, and you are someone who wants to hear both sides of the story. That you're not just gonna say, oh, it's person A's problems or it's person B's problems. Like, you want to know what's going on with both sides. You want to understand the whole of the story, and you help find balance for those, or for the people who are involved in whatever said situation is. It could be there's a lot of drama around you as well, and you help people overcome that drama by being able to let both sides talk about it. I feel like you're a mediator for life. You could be a mediator, like that's your job. You could be someone that's helping others to find healing through seeing both sides of the story, not just one side. But regardless, people are seeing you as someone who's incredibly fair and who's grounded and harmonious and balanced, and it helps them feel grounded and balanced, especially when it comes to family. There's something about family that you've done a lot of emotional healing when it comes to your background, or when it comes to how you grew up, or when it comes to what you've experienced, the place you've come from. You've gone through a lot, and I feel like you are able to use that experience as a means to really connect deeply with others, and not just connect with them, but help them to see. So like the example that they're showing me is like if you grew up with a narcissistic parent. So you're able to empathically connect with others who've gone through that similar situation, but there's something about the way you present it that helps them realize that just because their parent was a narcissist, that doesn't make them the worst person in the world, or that doesn't make them the devil, or that doesn't make them the demon, whatever it is, right? Like you help them see that they're living out their trauma too, and that's why they showed up this way. And so I do feel like you're helping people find forgiveness. And if that's not where you're headed, then you're helping people find surrender. And both are equally profound, and both are equally energetically freeing. And people appreciate that too. Like there's this appreciation where they see you and they're just really glad that you're not afraid to be the leader and to share those experiences that you yourself have gone through, and that you're not afraid to even ask really challenging questions or to really dig in. I feel like sometimes you dig in, and that's not something that's necessarily always been appreciated from others. Like it's either the questions that you ask, or it's because you know certain details that people don't share. Like you're able to really tap into those very uncomfortable places where people are like, oh, as long as pile 3 doesn't know this, then they'll agree with me. They'll be on my side. But I feel like you don't take a side. You're not somebody that's trying to take a side. You're just trying to see the whole, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So you could work in a courthouse. You could be a judge. You could be a lawyer. You could be a paralegal. You could be a secretary in a law firm. So you could work in the legal industry. You don't have to, though. You could also be in child services is coming in. So a mediator for parents, like helping parents find a place of balance. And so I feel like most people see you as someone who they can't lie to you because you see beyond their lies, but they also can't hide things from you because you're like a detective. You pick it up really quickly, like, oh, you left out this detail, didn't you? And they're like, how did you know that? And you're like, because your story basically paints that detail in without you having to say it. You're very observant. And I feel like you also can read people either energetically, or some of you have the ability to, like, I keep seeing Lie to Me, that show, where he's able to read the muscular twitches in a person's face, and he can explain what, like, when they're lying, like what each lie actually means and what it is that they're trying to cover up. So you could have that gift where you're able to really hone in and read people's muscular the twitches that they have, or the movements that they have in their face, the involuntary movements that we all make even if we're trying to repress them. And I feel like it's a surprise to people. You could even be studying something like that, right? Because there's a lady, and I wish I could remember her name. I know that she started it in California, but she has courses that help people learn that. And she explains it in detail. She's even written a pretty extensive book on it. I don't remember her name, but that could be something that you're studying as well. How do people view pile number 3, source? And for others of you, you're not, like, it's just, you're very intuitive, and it could be because of that sense of justice that you have that gives you that gift of discernment and that gift of knowing. How do people view you right now, pile 3? Okay, thank you. How do people view you right now, pile 3? I'm a little chilly, so my rings are a little big today. How do people view you? So with me saying that, they just said too big for your britches. That's coming in. So I do feel like, and this has come out on all the readings, like there's a group of people here who they think you're too big for your britches, or like you've got a big head and you don't really know what you're doing, or you don't really know anything about it, but you think that you do. But I feel like whoever it is that feels this way has definitely been on the receiving end of you calling out BS. Right now I'm seeing the card game. If you've ever played BS, they talk about it. If you don't, they have it in 10 things. What is it? How to Win a Guy in 10 dates, or whatever it is. And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I think that's the name of the movie. It's I can't remember the actors except for I don't know. It just went away. Anyways, but they talk about that game in there. It's a card game where people lie. They basically say like, oh, I have 4 4s, right? And if you have a 4 in your hand, obviously that's a lie. So you call BS on them. And I feel like that's exactly what it's like. They think they're being so smooth about it, but you're seeing the truth. The Ace of Swords on the bottom here. You're seeing the truth right away. So how do people view you as somebody who sees truth? You see truth, you speak truth, you're not afraid to touch on difficult truths, you're not afraid to touch on uncomfortable truths. And I feel like there's a group of people here who have definitely been taken to the judge and the jury because of you, and they've had to face parts of themselves that were uncomfortable. I feel like most people are grateful that you speak the truth that you do, because it helps them. Yeah, wow, 2 aces here. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people just are they're really grateful. There's a lot of love for you. They also see that you being truthful and honest is something that comes from love of self and healing of yourself and tapping into that connection with the divine. and that you always have a choice. And the choice is to make sure that you're making decisions based on what feels right for you, not based on what society thinks you should or shouldn't be doing, right? Those are societal constructs that keep us in a state of poverty and a state of lack, and you're not going down those roads. I also feel like you have learned this because you've had to deal with incredibly manipulative people. And that, like I was saying, like if you had a narcissist in your life, whether that was a parent or a spouse or an ex or a friend or a sibling or anybody in your life, it could have even been a boss, someone you worked with. But I feel like there's this energy that's coming through. People realize that you've been manipulated, and that manipulation has given you crucial insight on how to energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally call people out. You're the person who calls BS. You're just not going to play games like that. And there's been a lot of people who've had to start from scratch. And there's people who are upset about that, but there's also people who are grateful for that, because it's like you've given them a key to understanding maybe certain situations in their own life. So this could be friends that you have where they've been telling you stories about somebody that they have in their life, and you're the one that says, that person is not good for you. Or maybe you don't say it just like that, but you mention like, this person's manipulating you. Like, this person's lying to you. I bet you I could call them on their lie if you introduce me to them. Like, you help your friends see that truth, and they make decisions for themselves based on that. But you're helping them see clearly. You're helping people see clearly. You help people understand things about manipulators, but you're also not over here trying to burying manipulators in the ground. Like, you're trying to help people see them as humans that have experienced something really difficult, and that they're projecting that out. So it's like, if all we do is keep blaming the manipulators and we never see them for who they are or what they've gone through, like, we create this perpetual round robin where no one's going to get off, right? No one's going to get off this merry-go-round. Everybody's going to hold on and hope that whoever's the first one to let go is the one that loses, right? But sometimes we have to choose to step off of that chaos, and we have to choose to see things from a different place. And that's exactly what it is. And so you're not out here trying to tell people like, oh, it's all about you getting back at the people who manipulated you. I feel like you give people courage to recognize that it's okay for me to say goodbye and start again. It's okay for me to let go and start again. It's okay for me to forgive and to start again. It's okay for me to surrender and to start again. And that helps to free up a lot of that resentment, and it puts it into a much more productive space in life, right? Yeah, you give people a lot of courage. So they see you as someone who's you have a lot of confidence. You have a lot of optimism. You're someone who's very loyal and dependable. You're someone they can count on to help them see things from a fresh perspective, to start again. Aries, Leo, Sag with fire here. Confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery. You're not afraid to see things from a different place. You're not afraid to recognize that there are some old toxic patterns and paradigms that are continuing to persist, i.e. people saying that narcissists are demons. Like, we forget that the reason a narcissist comes to be is because they've experienced some really harsh realities and they've chosen to feed. There's an old an Indian proverb that where this grandfather's talking to his grandson, and he tells him there's two wolves that exist within us. There's the shadow wolf and there's the light wolf. And the grandson asks the grandfather, well, how do we know which one we are? And the grandfather tells the grandson, whichever one you choose to feed. And that's what you're helping people see. It's like they chose to feed the shadow, while others chose to feed the light. It doesn't make one right or wrong. It's just the choices that one has made in their lives because they felt like that was the right place to go. So you're helping people see that you don't have to stay in this perpetuating cycle. You don't have to keep it an eye for an eye. You don't have to keep trying to bring people down. because they chose to feed the shadow. You choose to feed the light, and by you choosing to feed the light, it helps you to step away from those repeat cycles. And that's how people see you right now. Pisces energy coming in, intimacy, intuition, and compassion. You have a lot of compassion for people in the world. I feel like you have a lot of compassion for people that most people don't have compassion for. And it's because you understand what it is to be in their shoes. Like, you're able to see both sides of the coin clearly, and to also understand why each person chose which side of the coin they chose. So you're seeing the bigger picture, and in seeing the bigger picture, you're helping people to understand that the bigger picture is much more grand and expansive than, oh, let's label everyone who's toxic as, you know, as a terrible person, as a bad person. You're the one that says not everybody is wholly good or evil. We're all made up of both, right? But everybody sometimes is so stuck in their ways, and they feel like, oh, I'm a good person, so I'm wholly good, not realizing that there have been some toxic patterns that we ourselves have perpetuated, maybe knowingly and maybe unknowingly. But that's how people view you, as the one who points that out. You're the one that calls BS. You're like, no one is free from sin. What is that old statement? Don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. Like, you're the person who says that, right? And a lot of people are grateful for that because it makes them stop and consider their actions. But there are other people who are mad about it because they would like to keep perpetuating really difficult, toxic patterns or situations. Okay, so we've got Mercury and Scorpio, extremism. Yeah, so this goes hand in hand with what I was just saying. It's like, not everybody is wholly good or bad, right? That's an extremist view. Like, oh, people who are innocent, who are victims, they're all wholly good. Like, they should never have to experience bad things. But the truth is that like everybody curses, right? Like, everybody has a moment where they're truly human and they do something they regret. Like, that's what this feels like. Like, you can't just be for one side when we know that we all exist of both sides. And that's exactly what you're showing them, the shadow and the light. And you're helping them to find a balance between the two. And there's some resistance to that in some instances, but I feel like most people, it's almost like a light bulb moment when they're talking to you, right? And they're like, oh, I never stopped to think about it like that, pile 3. And you're like, yeah. And when you think about it that way, it takes a lot of that anger that has been built up, and we begin to release, right? That surrender, that feeling of surrender comes in easily and effortlessly at that point. So we have the moon in Taurus with exaltation. Yeah, you helping people to find stability with their emotional being. And that's a profound place to be. So most people are really grateful because they feel like you help them find balance with their emotional states. Like, when they feel like they're maybe on the verge of a manic moment or a manic episode, or when they feel like they're about to be consumed by depression, when they feel like they can't get their thoughts in order, you help bring those realizations, those questions, and they remember them, and they're asking themselves those questions, and they're able to find balance again. And even groundedness, you know, to find groundedness in the moon energy is a very profound thing, especially because the moon is it's ruled by Cancer, and Cancer's water, and that's a very water can be very soft and subtle, and it can be destructive and overwhelming. But when you mix it with earth, it becomes mud, and sometimes it can be really icky and gross. But to find that solid groundedness in that watery state is a profound thing. And that's exactly how people view you. You help bring stability to something that was once very caustic and very unstable. How do people view you right now, pile 2? Or, wow, pile 3, excuse me. You could have come from pile 2. Also, really quickly, if you've chosen to watch all 3 piles with me, leave a purple heart down below. That makes you a part of my Purple Heart Club. And for everybody here, I'm just so grateful to have you here, truly. Yeah, lake stillness. Right? That's that energy. You help bring serenity back to something that was at one point very tumultuous, something that felt very unnerving or uh very destructive. You help them come back to that place of reflection. What is it within me that I need to look at so that I'm not trying to project onto others that they're terrible people, or that they need to be cruelly punished, or that they need to be sent to HE double hockey stick, or whatever the situation is, right? Like, that's the feeling here. It's you help bring them back to this state of peace. And that's what people think about you, is that you're constantly walking in a state of peace, and you give them the permission to do the same rather than fueling the fires, right? Like, you don't fuel the fires. You know, when people sometimes tell stories and then they get somebody on their side, or they get somebody in their life that's fueling the fire, fueling the drama, fueling the hardship, like making it seem like, oh, well, you should get back at them, or you should do this, or you need to do that. And it's like, you don't do that. You just give them space to share what it is that's going on in their lives, and then show up from a place of peace. And because you do that, it helps calm waters, right? It's like, oh, I'm here, like a bridge over troubled waters, right? So you're like the bridge over these troubled waters. You're not forcing them to swim upstream when they're in the middle of rapids. You're like, no, like give me your hand and let's step out of the rapids for a minute and look at it from a different viewpoint. And it's like, you've saved people from drowning emotionally. We do have envy here. I'm the same as everybody else, but with different challenges. So there could be people who are envious of you, but I feel like this is a straight confirmation of what I was feeling earlier. It's like, do you feed the shadow or do you feed the light? I am the same as everybody else, but with different challenges, and you've made different choices. This is what you're helping everybody to see. It's not about just how you see life, because there's as many different perspectives in the world as there are people. Okay. Thank you so much, Source. We have balance. I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. So how people see you is as a state of balance. They see you as someone who's fair. They see you as someone who doesn't judge others just based on how they showed up. And I feel like it's because you yourself have been through a lot of circumstances, and maybe you found out some information about a narcissist in your life, and you're like, oh, I could totally understand why they were showing up in that way, and now I don't take it so personally. You've been given some key information to see people from a much higher state, and so you see them as they are, not who they tried to project, not who they tried to seem as they are, right? So you're seeing a deeper truth about them, and that's why you're able to do so without judgment. I feel like maybe in your past you could have been someone who was incredibly judgmental, but you learned a very valuable lesson on your journey, and that's helped you find a state of harmony and purity, it feels like, and flow flying out. Like, I can't even pick it up. It's just sliding around. Flow. This is what I was saying. Like, you help take people out of those troubled waters, right? You help take them out of the rapids, and let's look at it from above, right? Let's see the flow. It's going around the rocks, even though the rocks are creating these rapids, but the water is ultimately trying to find the easiest route to freedom, to softness, to gentleness. We don't have to fight against it. And that's what you're helping people see. And that's how they see you, as somebody who's always in a constant state of flow. Disruption, yeah. And you also disrupt social norms, especially like that. Like I keep using narcissist as an example, but that's what they keep showing me here, is because I've seen so many titles of how to get back at a narcissist. I've seen so many core questions of how do I make a narcissist pay for the way that they've treated me. And I feel like for you, it doesn't have to be narcissist. This could be anything, right? This could be dealing with, if you're in the legal system, dealing with a criminal, or dealing with somebody who's just gone down the wrong path. You know, it's like, if we believe that reformation and healing isn't possible, we're basically condemning someone to a life of misery, saying they'll never change. We we're convincing them that there's nothing they'll ever be able to do and that they were born this way and that they don't have any other choices except for the choices that they've always been making. And if we don't give people that freedom, you know, it's almost like pit bulls and parolees. And I can't remember the name of the lady there, but you're like that lady from Pit Bulls and Parolees, where it's like, you might not be easy on people, but you give them a chance. And you give a lot of people a chance that feel like they would have never had a chance before. And that's enough to give space for them to start feeding the light instead of the shadow. And so you disrupt norms. You're like this constant energy that's very reliable to help break old patterns. And that's how people see you. And so I feel like there's people here who have actually really benefited from you coming from this non-judgmental place where they've been judging people. You know, another example that's coming in is like if there's somebody here who was a cheater, right? Like if somebody cheated, you could be a marriage counselor. Like if there was someone that cheated on someone else, you know, you see so many people who are so harsh towards cheaters, but we don't always know the situation that someone went through. And again, this could be a triggering statement for some, and I apologize for that. But at the same time, that's the example that they're giving me, which means that it's that same energy where you're saying, okay, well, what's the story? Like what happened? And then you let them share their story with you. Like maybe it was because they were feeling unheard or they were feeling unseen. And it's not about validating what they did, but you listen to their story and you give them space to hear it themselves. And sometimes when someone hears their own story themselves, that's enough to elicit change. But they have to hear it out loud, right? They have to kind of hear the absurdity of their own actions. They have to hear the craziness of what they chose to do without realizing what they were choosing to do. And sometimes that's enough for someone to say, oh my gosh, like I never stopped to think about it until now. And that's how people view you. They view you as someone who's willing to give those people a chance. Oh, you could be in like an Alcoholics Anonymous or Drugs Anonymous or something like that, Narcotics Anonymous. Like you could be someone that's in one of those or does the leadership of one of those situations where you're the person at the front that's just hearing their stories. Some people just, that's what's so healing about like AA and stuff is, and even like grief counseling or anything along those lines, like what's so healing about it is hearing the stories, hearing the past, like people speaking it out loud and realizing it for the first time, not just reliving the memory, but actually hearing it out loud is what is very healing. And so there's some sort of like counseling where you actually give people the opportunity to share stories with you. And instead of judging them, you just give them space to figure it out for themselves. And that's how people see you. Like you're a safe space for them to figure out their own answer, their own solution. Yeah, Gasimi sees the sunny opportunities. You're bringing the light, like you help people seize the light, right? Like this feels like the shadow is covering the light, or also it's moving away from the light. Seize the sunny opportunities, right? You're helping people to seize the light, to seize the good, to realize that just because you had a moment with bad decisions, or just because you treated people a certain way, or just because you had certain actions, that's not the truth or the wholeness of who you are. You're so much more than those things that you've done in your life. Or maybe you also needed someone to be like that for you and you couldn't find that anywhere, and so you became that for yourself, and now you're becoming that for others, or you've chosen that path for others. And it's an incredibly profound place, right? We have Thoth here with the divine masculine. It's almost like the healing of the father wound, but it's the constructive criticism that a father gives us from a place of love instead of commanding criticism or demeaning criticism, where it's like, well, you should have done better, you needed to do this. Like, what a father tell, like if a son cheated on his wife, and a father who loved his son more than anything in the world, would he have told him that that was the worst possible thing that he could have done? A father probably would have said, look, maybe you could have made a different choice, but what was the reason behind it? Like, let's look at that. And then, okay, here's the deal. You made a bad choice. What are you going to do about it now? Like, instead of reliving this over and over again, instead of letting yourself getting eaten up by this, what are you going to do about it now? And that's the type of energy that you bring. It's the healed father. It's the healed masculine. And it doesn't matter if you're feminine or masculine, what you identify with, man or woman, non-binary, none of that matters, okay? This is just the energy that you give when people are talking to you. So you could have 10th house in a fire sign or an air sign. You could also have the north node in and south nodes in fire and air. Okay, like that's just something that exudes from you when you're helping people. It's like your path of purpose is to be that healed masculine energy. We all have both masculine and feminine within us. And you're helping them learn, right? The sacred ibis here is it's a path to learning, opening the door to the unknown, opening a door to a higher realm of seeing. And that's exactly what you're doing. It's like giving them the opportunity to see, to hear, and to witness their own mistakes through their own eyes, through their own experience, and allowing them an opportunity without judgment to make a choice to better themselves, to give them an opportunity to reform themselves, to heal themselves, to correct themselves in a way, but doing so without harshness. And it's just a steady, masculine, consistent energy that elicits a want for people to do better. Like, I feel like when people are around you, they feel like they want to do better because you're there. They want to be a better version of themselves. Your energy just asks that of them, and they want that, and that's how they view you. Yeah, we have Mars and Aries with impulsiveness, right? So with this energy, there's like, you help people see, like, you made an impulsive decision, but your impulsive decision is not who you are. It's just something that happened. Interesting. We have island with solitude. I feel like you actually help bring people out of isolation with this island solitude. You help them see that it's safe to go into a state of solitude, self-induced solitude to heal, but it's not okay to isolate, because isolation is where problems persist. That's where our choices persist, because we're not doing anything about them. And so I feel like you help people come out of isolation and reintegrate into society or into safe spaces. And that's how they view you. Wow, it's a really powerful reading. Yeah, Scorpio, face your feelings. You help them face the shadow in a very profound way. In a very profound way. Right? And Scorpio's not afraid to go in deep. They're not afraid to deal with the darkness. Scorpios love the darkness, the stuff that's under the surface that no one wants to talk about. Scorpio's like, let's talk about that. What's going on over here? You know? And that's something that's really powerful about Scorpio energy. And that's transformative, right? That wanting to dive into the deep that's what's transformative here. And you're helping them to transform. And that's how they view you right now, as someone who's willing to help someone that you might not know, care about, or even truly desire to help, but you're helping them nonetheless. And they feel comforted by that. Yeah, Sedna, there's always enough. There's always enough. And I feel like this goes back to having a positive mindset, or having an abundant mindset. Like, there's always enough. And you're helping people come out of that poverty mindset where I can only make a bad decision. No, you don't have to only make a bad decision. You can choose to make a bad decision, but that's a choice. It doesn't mean that it's necessary. You can choose something new. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book for you. I'm going to see what it says. So we got Mercury in all three piles with something, right? But we have Mercury, Pluto here, and that's that talk about transformation, right? Like, let's bring on this transformation and helping people to embrace their inner power, but also bringing messages from beyond. But look, this eye, I can't look away from this eye right now. This eye is really intimidating, and it's really penetrating. That's the word. It's like it's penetrating me to my soul. And I feel like that's exactly what you do, and how people view you as someone, when they look in your eyes, you penetrate their soul, and you help them see a deeper truth. You help them transform that truth, and you help them see from a different perspective altogether. So let's see what this says. Okay, 34. It says, what I give form to in daylight is only 1% of what I have seen in darkness. Thank you so much, Source. What a confirmation. That's a quote by M.C. Escher in regards to Mercury conjunct Pluto. Who can go down where the light won't go to bring into day what night would show? And that's exactly the energy that I've been feeling this whole time. You delve into the darkness and you help bring that to light, something that most people would shy away from or hide from. It says, because Pluto radically empowers whatever it is enacting with, Mercury-Pluto can be expressed as a powerful mind, capable of probing deeply into subjects that might be usually shrouded in mystery. This pair brings out our mind's latent potential for relentlessness and drive, so your attitude towards whatever you are attempting to comprehend will be intensified. So long as you are careful not to become obsessive, the single-mindedness that Mercury-Pluto imparts can help you to unlock a depth of understanding that may otherwise be impossible to access. In particular, this pair helps you to gain a detailed, rational understanding of the shadow of the human psyche. The potential for anger, aggression, and violence, sexual ardor, masochism and sadism, manipulation, domination, and predatory behavior. While most of these traits are detrimental to the thriving of humanity, the potential for each of them is contained within each of us. What a confirmation, Source. That's exactly what it's saying. That proverb that talks about, are you going to feed the light or the shadow, right? We are not wholly good or evil. Everything exists within each of us. And these impulses are better understood than ignored. On a personal level, this pair helps you to understand ways in which your conscious memories, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, opinions, and knowledge are linked together into networks of mental activity or complexes. This is really only the tip of the iceberg. Once you start to see the systematic logic of these complexes, Mercury-Pluto drives you onward, inviting you to attempt to discern the unconscious and transpersonal materials that underpin them. Generally speaking, you can't expect to come into contact with these materials through a purely analytical or investigative mode of inquiry. Pluto is an object of fascination of the mercurial mind precisely because it defies rationalization and straightforward analysis. The pair invites you to become intrigued by the irrational and paradoxical nature of your own unconscious, which generally involves some kind of experiential process, be it a dream or any other kind of expanded or non-ordinary state that defies categorization and logic while you are in it, but later be examined and analyzed by your inner Mercury. That's why I'm saying, like, you give people an opportunity to vocalize what it is that they've gone through. That's where I feel like they receive the most healing, is when they can finally hear their story with their own ears from their own voice. It's not about them starting to share that story with you to analyze it. It's about them sharing to get it off their chest, but it's through the act of sharing with you that they're able to dig in deeper to understand themselves in a much more profound way. And so how people view you right now is a light upon the world, which helps them to dig into the Pluto aspect, the unknown, and bring it into the known. And also, pile 3, if you haven't, you might resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning. If you feel called to, it's timestamped in the description box below. You can definitely check that out. No obligation if not, okay? But what a powerful message and a truly powerful energy that you have. But this is what I see for you here today. If you felt like this was your message, leave the little third eye emoji down below and say, by looking beyond the masks of people, I'm able to invite them into a safe space to share, to recognize, to heal, and to surrender. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that being said, I'd like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly profound message today, pile 3. And until next time, stay human. Bye.